Our lives are full of questions. Every day, more and more questions. And some of the questions we face are very mundane and routine. For instance, what shall I wear today? Well, for some of you, that's not quite as mundane as routine as it is for me. Usually a clerical shirt and a pair of trousers works for me. What shall we have for dinner tonight? What shall we watch on television? If indeed we are going to watch television. These are not questions that have any great long-term importance in our lives. And then there's other questions which are just plain unanswerable. Like, if nothing can stick to Teflon, how do they make Teflon stick to the saucepan? Or what was the best thing before sliced bread? Or will Sunderland win the league? Some questions are just plain unanswerable. But some of life questions are really terribly important. Consider the following, for instance. Will you marry me? That isn't, by the way, a question. I'm already married, just in case anybody's asking. What shall we call the baby? Doctor, what's the prognosis? Really tough questions as well as joyful ones that have lifelong implications. In our gospel reading today, Jesus asks two questions, and these two questions are eternal in their nature. The first question has to do with what other people are saying about Jesus, and their opinions of him reveal the conditions of their hearts. And the second question is to the disciples and to you and me, and that's about who you say Jesus is. These are vital questions. So let's look at this short conversation in the Gospel between Jesus and his disciples. I want to consider the questions Jesus asked his disciples that day, because these two questions are utterly important in our world today. They are of the utmost importance to your life and to mine. So borrowing a line from that wonderful television show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, whether you're a fan of Chris Tarrant in the original or you're more of a Jeremy Clarkson kind of person, you don't have to admit to being a Jeremy Clarkson type of person, not here. The question is, it's my turn to ask, is that your final answer? So I've got some questions for you. And the question is that your final answer? So people say, who do people say that I am? Well, we're told that Jesus and his disciples are in the cities of Caesarea Philippi. Historically, Caesarea Philippi was a hotbed of worship to other gods. There were statues and there were shrines to all sorts of gods all over Philippi. And then, when the Romans came, it was renamed to Caesarea Philippi. And it became the place of worship of Caesar himself, the Roman emperor. And it's here, in this place, where people worship hundreds of different gods, where people worship Caesar, the emperor, that Jesus asks the question, who do people say that I am? Now, Jesus knew what people were saying about him. This question isn't because Jesus is paranoid, nor is it because he's seeking people's praise. He intends to use the opinions of others to cause the disciples to think about their own opinion of who Jesus is. It's an interesting exercise. Jesus asks the question. His men tell Jesus what they've been hearing others say. Some people say you are John the Baptist. Some say Elijah. Some say one of the prophets. What are they saying about Jesus today? If I went out and did one of those kind of short interviews, the kind of vox pop type things around Sunderland City Centre or in Silksworth or in Sainsbury's or Morrison's, and and said, "Who do you think Jesus is?" I will probably get a multitude of answers. He was a good man. He was a great teacher. He was a prophet. He was somebody who had some great ideas and told some lovely stories. He knew what it meant to be good to others. But it often doesn't go much further than that. Nobody normally would say that perhaps he's God in flesh, the saviour of mankind. Most people acknowledge Jesus' existence, but they don't know who he is. Just as they didn't when Jesus asked the question to his disciples. Jesus uses the opinions of his people concerning his identity to cause the disciples to think about their opinion. Who was Jesus? So we move on to the second question. And Jesus simply asks, "But who do you say that I am?" It's a simple question. But for each and every one of us, the answer is filled with eternal implications. Peter says, "You are the Christ." And obviously that was the right answer. In Matthew's account of the events, Matthew quotes Peter saying, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Peter sees in this humble, homeless carpenter from Nazareth, this mobile rabbi, the very essence of God himself. Peter looks at Jesus and sees the Messiah, which is what the word Christ means. It is not his surname, as perhaps some of their school children once said to me, but actually a description of who he is. It literally means the anointed one. Peter also, as we find from Matthew, sees Jesus as the Son of the living God. What a statement of faith that is. The great theologian and author of the Narnia Chronicles, C.S. Lewis, wrote these words. "A man who was merely a man and said the sort of things that Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. He would either be a lunatic on the level of the man who says he is a poached egg, or he would be the very devil of hell. You see, you must take your choice. Either Jesus was and is the Son of God, or else he is a madman, or he is something worse. You can shut him up for a fool, or you can fall at his feet and call him Lord and God. But do not come with any patronising nonsense about him being a great human teacher. He never left that option open to us." In Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Tarrant or Clarkson asks each participant that same question before they show them the answer to their question. Is that your final answer? And the contestant still has time to change her or his mind. Jesus asked you the question this morning. Present here in church, watching this video later, Jesus is asking you, who do you say that I am? But it's okay. Because just like on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you've got time to think about your final answer. For me, he is my Saviour and my Lord. For you, the answer is yours, and he will keep on asking, calling you to come to him. And now, if you want it to be, is the time to do that. Speaking to you for the first time or for the 100th time, heed his call and come to Jesus. In a short while's time, you'll have the opportunity to come and meet him in bread and in wine, to come to meet him and receive his blessing, to answer that life-changing question. Jesus says, who do you say that I am? In the words of St. Peter, Lord, you are the Messiah. You are the Son of the living God.